Not good. And I get developing takes on that one at 617-779-0985. We're on YouTube. What's up, YouTube fam? Get on in there. Again, call in tonight. I know we got a giveaway. We got guests tonight. We got our games. Full show. We're back at it here on 98.5, the Sports Hub. And again, you can call in at 617-779-0985. So the Celtics lose game one of the Eastern Conference semifinals. And I actually was offended by the performance last night. Most people will listen to this night show and hear the support that, the national media might portray regarding the Celtics, or calling the team soft, or certain players soft, or players not clutch. And I still will push back on all of that. But there's one thing that I have at least rode the train for the last 2 years. And I've been right, by the way. And I might still be right. But in a big moment, in a game where they have dominated a team throughout the regular season, and by the numbers last night, if you really want to look at it, they may have won the matchups in some areas, but in the end, they lost the game. But my opening take tonight is I have called the Celtics front runners. And I said that is a good thing. They won a championship last year playing that style. Why go against it? Instead, what they did this year was they doubled down on it. In the regular season, to get through 82 games, I'm sure that's a philosophy that, in the end, will have them win 60 games and put up big-time numbers. It happened. It's true. I've called them front runners, and I've made comments that in the past, whether it's the path, whoever they played, they'll get up on a team and they'll tap out. It's been true. Miami Heat, Indiana Pacers, Cleveland Cavaliers. You go back to games this year where they've had big leads, the teams tap out. It's been true, and I've been able to ride that train for 2 seasons. Last night, the Celtics were up 20 points. They had New York about to tap out. They did. They were about to tap out. Jalen Brunson's holding his shoulder. Mikal Bridges is complaining. Karl Anthony Towns has 4 fouls. They were ready to tap. They didn't. So my take, that's their style and it works. For one night last night, it didn't. I'm going to take the L. I think I've been right on it up until last night. That has been the style that they've played. They get out to big leads, and then they turn it on from 3. It didn't work last night. Things did not work in the Celtics' favor. Kristaps Porzingis didn't play in the second half. They did not get Peyton Pritchard involved at all in the second half. I don't know what happened to Jason Tatum in the second half or in the fourth quarter. But I thought in the first half last night, their strategy was executed perfectly. And in the third quarter, I think Joe Mazzulla doubled down on his math and his philosophy. They wanted to send a message to the New York Knicks by running it up. It backfired big time. I'll still say it. The Celtics have always got out to big leads and teams tapped out. Not the New York Knicks. A team that I thought would have. A team that almost did last night. It was the Celtics that went to double down on their strategy and it backfired on them. Instead of adjusting like they did in the previous series, they choked it away. The Boston Celtics choked in a playoff game last night. At home. I took the Celtics in 6. I did feel like things were a lot of people were over confident about this series. I'm sure you all think that right now. Hell, I still will double down that the Celtics win this series in 6. I'll do it right now. Celtics in 6. Last night was an absolute choke job. Their coach did not coach. Their best player was a no-show. The Knicks weren't great either. They missed free throws. Their star player turned the ball over twice in the final minute. But in overtime, the Celtics played zero defense. The New York Knicks turned it on. They had confidence. They were resilient. And for one night, the Boston Celtics, the defending, reigning champions of the NBA, became the New York Knicks. Vomit. That's why I'm personally insulted. Their style has worked. Whether you've liked it or have ridiculed it, it's worked. But last night, the team, the coach, they doubled down on their philosophy and it backfired. There was no coaching. There was no instinct from their star players. It was stick to the philosophy, and it bit them in the ass. The Boston Celtics became what the New York Knicks are, losing last night in Game 1. They choked it away, and their star player didn't perform. It wasn't like the Knicks were playing this great defense. The Celtics couldn't hit a shot, and instead of adjusting, they became the New York Knicks. Gross. It was a major choke job. So, Knicks fans, have at it. This was your Super Bowl. You beat Boston in a Game 1 on the road. You lost to them all year. You got your asses kicked by them all year long. You were resilient last night. And the Celtics usually tap teams out. You didn't. Doesn't mean you're going to win the series. But for one night, the Boston Celtics became the New York Knicks. And that offends me. We'll leave it there at 617-779-0985. And, well, the three-point numbers, you've ridiculed it all year long. We'll look at it. Coming up here on the other side, we'll get Skaz's thoughts as well. And what the hell is going on with Kristaps Porzingis? Sorry. Kristaps Porzingis. What is going on? We'll get into all that coming up here on the other side. I'm Joe Murray. You're listening to 98.5 The Sports Hub.
You're listening to Joe Murray on 98.5. Elgar and Maz are just his pregame.
They've been getting wholesale deals for years.
It's Joe Murray on the Sports Hall.
The Celtics' worst nightmare is an outlier three-point shooting night. Boston is 15 of 60. A regular three-point shooting night for them. They'd be up by 25 right now.
You get another opportunity here to tie this thing up with the Celtics.
And now on a night you have not been able to make one, now you need one.
I mean, listen, this show here at night, myself, Skaz does the Green Tamers with Jay Stu. If anything, we just work in fact. There are people who occasionally watch or don't really watch the rest of the NBA. We do it every night. The Celtics are clearly the best team in the NBA. Clearly. They could have won last night's game, literally, by showing up. Instead, they doubled down on their philosophy. We all credited them. Everybody did. National pundits, local. When they played Orlando had to play that style to stick around. And the Celtics had to change their game. And they did. They were just better than Orlando. But you know what? There was coaching involved. There was strategy. There was none of that last night. And maybe that was the game plan. I could give you all the numbers. I could bore you with all the numbers from the regular season for the New York Knicks and the Boston Celtics. The Celtics, by the way, shot 39 more threes than the Knicks did in their matchups this year. So what do you think was their game plan? It worked to perfection in the first half. Let's call it what it was. It worked. Jason Tatum had a hell of a first half. Brown struggled. Again, Porzingis struggled. Peyton Pritchard was producing off the bench. Mazzulla has had some issues with third quarter adjustments, but for the most part, when you win a gentleman's sweep, he won most of the third quarters. He had one bad one. It was bad last night. It was worse in the fourth quarter. I know the Celtics have given up big leads. In the end, they've always won. The fact that the game went into overtime and Brunson didn't win the game, I thought the Celtics would run away with it. Tatum didn't have it late. Jaylen Brown didn't have it late. He had a big three. I'll give him credit on that one. The focus probably today, and this is why I'm going to say it, Jason Tatum was bad in the fourth quarter. He was a no-show late in the game. But they continued to give him the ball, and I know that's what they do in this league. If I was the coach, I would have looked elsewhere. It was, Scats, how many times last night when we were watching the game together did I say, I'd go to Derek White? Tatum just doesn't have it tonight. And I know you kept looking at me as, they're not going to do it?
Yeah, because they won't. But I'm with you that they should. Yeah, I mean, there was a million things you could take away from that one. And I know the big point, that Celtics fans are hanging on is that they missed 45 three-pointers. That's fine. They're probably not going to do that again. I get all that. But just the way they played in the second half was beyond frustrating. And I'm with you. Derek White was not nearly enough involved offensively in that second half. We go back and forth with the Mazzulla ball and then, it becoming Tatum ISO ball. And we talked about during the Magic series why that was a good thing at times. I just thought that they kind of abandoned, I know it's their identity, but it didn't feel like they were playing regular Mazzulla ball. It felt more like just chucking. And that's what they get criticized for is when they chuck. And last night they were certainly just chucking threes last night.
Do you know what it was, I just didn't feel like there was coaching involved. I honestly, I hate to say it, but it reminded me of J.J. Redick when he said the math works. I know they're an analytics team. Guys, they're one of the best teams in the NBA because of the style that they play. At times, it's frustrating. At times, it can be boring. At times, they do blow teams out. The other team taps out, and everybody goes home. Sometimes they blow a 20-point lead, but still win it in the end. I'm really focusing on the coaching. I don't want people to think that you or I are going to let Jason Tatum off the hook for last night.
No, he was downright awful down the stretch. Hated a lot of the shots. Some decision making was bad. I thought Jalen struggled down this. They just, as a team, choked. People want to say, "Oh, Derek White." Well, Derek White was 5 of 16 from 3 too, and Tatum was 4 of 15. So they virtually shot the same. So they both stunk last night. The whole team was bad. The only guy that was even remotely good, I thought, was Drew Holiday.
Holiday looked good.
He was the only guy. I mean, Pritchard was out there for 24 minutes, but I saw people saying, "Oh, they needed more Pritchard in that game." I noticed him a little in the beginning of the game, and then maybe all those 24 minutes just came early, but I don't know. I'm not overly worried about the series, but they absolutely deserve criticism for the performance last night.
They did not strategize to get Peyton Pritchard involved in the second half without Sam Hauser and without Kristaps Porzingis. How did they not do that, guys? He had a great. He's been great against New York. Again, I could give you all the numbers of why the Celtics are better than the Knicks. You know that. Everyone knows the numbers. I don't have to do that. I just wanted to highlight Joe Mazzulla at times this year has not found ways to get Pritchard involved in games. And quite frankly, he's been very good. I don't want to use the word very good. Has he been above average defensively against some teams?
For him, yes.
Yeah. I just thought it was inexcusable to not get him going to the basket in that third and fourth quarter. I can understand him not playing in overtime. I got it. And again, I know there are these people who are saying, "Oh, why are we talking about Pritchard in games?" I don't know. You were down without Hauser, who rolled his ankle and is not going to play the next game. What the hell is going on with Kristaps Porzingis? You need another option. But they didn't even coach it up. I'm starting to wonder about Mazzulla as a coach. Do I think that he's the right guy for this group? Yes. I think he has a mental approach to keep these guys to stay engaged. And you know what? Good teams, great teams need that. They need it. So this isn't a Mazzulla and is he the right guy for the team? He is. He is. They leaned on the strategy, though. Then where was the adjustments? Where were the adjustments? Can I give you another play that I absolutely hated? What was up with 24 seconds left in the game? End of the game. What was that? What was that? Was that schemed up by Joe Mazzulla? Was that Jason Tatum going rogue? What the hell was that? This is what I mean by where is the coaching? Where is it? I don't think the guys were on the same page on that play. How about the final play in overtime? That Mikal Bridges, who I'm going to give him credit. What do you have, 8 points on the night? Had a huge basket and made one of the biggest defensive plays of the game. By the way, an assist machine last night. 7 assists. The Knicks weren't doing anything elaborate defensively. It was almost as if they were giving the Celtics the 3. And in the third quarter, there was one 2-point attempt. This is what I mean by strategizing to get players to change. Mazzulla didn't do that. I'm not going to overreact, but I do want to react to their loss. They didn't play like the Celtics last night. They blew the game like all these other teams have. That's what happened last night. Now, what is going on with Kristaps Porzingis? What's going on? I know that Kristaps Porzingis hasn't played a lot of playoff games. But in 13 playoff games as a Celtic, he's shooting 39% from the field, 26% from 3. He's averaging 11 points per game, 5 rebounds, and 1 block. He's had one exceptionally good game in his playoff career. I still think they need him. I still think they could win without him. But it bothered them yesterday without him. Al Horford talked about it today. The The Celtics' problem is they're relying on Kristaps Porzingis. And you know what? I did too. He was the second best player down the stretch this year. He was. When it comes to the playoffs, he's been a different guy. And we love poop jokes on this show. We love a good poop joke. But Kristaps Porzingis, what the hell happened in that second half? Where was he? What's going on? Now, I understand today the reports are that Joe Mazzulla did not know why he didn't play. Sounds like there's this lingering thing going on with him, some sort of lingering sickness. He's probable for tomorrow night. He has dominated against the New York Knicks this year. 25 points per game in 4 games. Or was it 3 games? They are relying on him. I think we're all relying on him. Is he reliable? Because right now the numbers are showing he's not. Was he an impact in last year winning the championship? Absolutely. He needs to make an impact at least tomorrow night or show something because therefore if he doesn't, they can't rely on him. 617-779-0985. That's the phone number if you want to jump aboard. We are going to talk to Taylor Twellman coming up in a little bit, MLS star. What is he? Analyst over at Apple TV. There was a huge soccer game today that was awesome. And, we'll get his thoughts on that. Let's talk to James. He's in Fall River. What's going on, James?
Hey, what's going on, guys? I just want to take a second to talk about Jaylen Brown. Now, I know last night was a stinker from the whole team, but Jaylen Brown, if you watch him play, he's timid. He looks scared to drive. He looks like half the player that he usually is, and it concerns me as we get deeper into the playoffs.
Okay, well, what are your concerns?
He looks slow. He looks like he lost his explosives. I know he's dealing with the knees, but it's like if he's going to be half the player he is, how are we going to even have a chance against Oklahoma City?
Why are you even worried about Oklahoma City? How about you just worry about the Knicks?
I mean, I'm looking past the Knicks because I think
that's your
so
problem.
much better.
That's a problem. That's a problem right now. Everybody looked past the New York Knicks yesterday, and you became the New York Knicks.
I don't know if you watched that OKC game last night. Nothing's guaranteed in the NBA.
Cavs lost the first game. OKC blew it last night. Chet Holmgren blows it at the free throw line. Arguably their third best player.
Some might argue they're second.
Second, exactly. Lost to who, by the way? Who?
The best player in the world, Nikola Jokic.
Did you notice that when the time went on timeout, I didn't notice the coach anywhere.
You didn't notice Andelman there?
No, I didn't notice him. I noticed Jokic, though. You see him yelling at the team? He looked like Popovich.
I'm listening to him if he's yelling at me, Joe.
He had everybody on the bench. It was like Bill Russell as the coach. It was like he was like yelling at them all on the bench.
He's the best basketball player I've ever seen in my life.
He does things that are unbelievable.
They don't make sense what he does. The 3 he hit to cut it to a 1-point lead, with a minute left is. I know he's just standing there, but that's kind of what he does. He's just standing there, and then all of a sudden he does something, and you're just like, oh, well, they're now winning or they're down by 1. He was incredible last night, and you want to talk about a guy who just is dragging his team. They played a Game 7 2 nights ago, and he's back against the number 1 seed with 44 and 12 and 8 or whatever it was. That was insane.
This whole look past the Knicks thing's bothering me.
Yeah, don't. Look, do I think the Celtics are going to beat the Knicks? Yes, but that's kind of the problem, too, is the Knicks are a good basketball team. The Celtics have just been an otherworldly basketball team for so long that people, the Celtics are the best team in the league when they're going, but the Knicks are also a very good team. They're the best Knicks team. I don't know, maybe since, I don't even know, the 90s, the 80s, I have no idea, but they're that good. So, yeah, they're going to win a game or two. They're going to play it tough. Tom Thibodeau's a good defensive coach. The Celtics aren't just going to cakewalk. We've been saying this for months. We said, if Porzingis isn't available, this is not going to be a 18, 19 game postseason run like it was last year. They're going to have to play 25 games or, 20 something games, and you're going to need everybody healthy. And you're already seeing that start to, become true where Porzingis is out, Holiday's banged up, Tatum missed a game, and, you lose game 1 to the Knicks.
I have some game 1 numbers regarding the Celtics and how they played in game 1s in the past. I'll get into that at some point. And the path is harder. It's not because of the opponents. So everyone who keeps saying they can't do this against Oklahoma City, the Celtics are battling themselves. It's not about the other opponent, everybody. They're battling themselves, whether it's their philosophy, their coach, their players, their clutch performances, just getting to be healthy. They're battling themselves. Can they overcome that? This is why teams haven't gone back-to-back the last 6 years. But to Skaz's point, this is supposed to be an all-worldly team. And last night, they were regular. They were meh. They were mid. They were the New York Knicks. 617-779-0985. We'll get a look at the Sports Hub headlines. I'm Joe Murray. You're listening to 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Sports Hub headlines. Presented by Celsius Energy Drink.
Back here on that Celtics were the Knicks last night. And nobody was there to do it. So I don't know. Don't know who's going to do that for us now.
New interns are on the way, Joe. Couple weeks out.
Who's going to do that for? Hey, Jose! No, I'm kidding. Shout out to Jose, who people may see if you're watching on YouTube. Everyone's
just the three of us.
Literally, we're the only three people in the building. And I just to vent for a minute because Taylor Twellman's coming up in the next segment. The ride in today's Skaz.
I was getting a little worried about you, Joe.
Okay. Something must have happened on that road, or it was the rain.
Unfortunately, Joe, I think it's the rain. People seem to struggle with the rain for some reason. I know it was bad earlier. It wasn't bad on my drive in, but the drive was bad.
We drive here every day, right? You know when to leave, when not to leave. I'm starting to come down from it just a little bit. I do have a take on the Bruins quickly. Let's just get this out of the way. Something was smelly last night. Something was smelly. The draft lottery happened, and it was the porking. Bruins were slated to get the 5th overall selection. They had an 8.5% chance of 1 or 2. And they got 7. That's not even what I'm sniffing. The Islanders, earlier in the day, were awarded the All-Star game. Then it was rescinded. Then they got the number 1 overall pick when they were projected at top 10. How did they move up all? It was smelly. I've been feeling that way about draft lotteries for years. I'm just taking the Bruins out of it. How do the Islanders get the number 1 overall pick and the Sharks get the 2nd pick? Is that math too? Is that another model that we have to follow, Skaz?
I'm sorry, I was answering the phones, but did you mention the All-Star game, Joe?
Well, can you fill me in what you know about it? Because I heard it got rescinded.
Yes. So, from what I believe, the new USB arena, or I think it's USB, something like that, the new Nassau Coliseum, the new arena for the New York Islanders was supposed to hold an All-Star game, and then that was taken away from them. So the the conspiracy theorists on Twitter, NHL, Tinfoil Hat Society, there is saying that as a payback, the Islanders had their All-Star game taken away from them, and then were rewarded with the number 1 pick.
Smelly.
I would certainly say it's smelly, and if I'm the Bruins, I'd be upset about this.
Did I read somewhere? I don't know who had this, but they did a simulation before, and the Bruins won it.
This was our good friend, friend of 98.5, DJ Bean, I believe,
Bean, okay,
was the one that tweeted that
he
out.
Hit me up this weekend.
They do practice lotteries, just to make sure everything's on the up and up, of course. And apparently, yes, the Bruins did win one of the practice lotteries.
USB Arena? Does that stand for like USB?
That's I can't. Or UBS? It might be UBS Arena.
I have no clue what it is.
Something like that. Not an Islanders guy. My apologies.
That smell was brains of everybody trying to figure out how the lottery works, is what someone in chat said.
Yeah, very convoluted process last night.
Very.
I heard Felger was very tuned in though, so that's nice to hear.
Oh wow! Well, you were too.
Well, yes, yeah. I was. Well, we were here. We had both TVs on. It was a great night for the dual TV setup. I will say though, the Bruins 7th overall pick. If you told me from what they did at the trade deadline to now, I think fans would have been pretty happy about that. Now I know that they had the potential to have the 5th, and fans are upset that they don't have the 5th pick and they fell back to 7th. But them making the decision at the trade deadline to get rid of guys and go the way of the tank and get all the way down to the 7th pick, I don't know if I want to give them credit for losing, but from where they went to end up with the 7th pick, I think they handled the end of the season pretty well. Maybe lose 1 or 2 more games. We feel even better about it. But
do you know why I don't? Because the drive for 5 was alive.
The drive for 5,
and personally offended. The Celtics, the New York Knicks did not tap out. I'm offended by that. I've been riding that thing for 2 years, Skez. That was a hell of a ride. I don't think it's over yet, though. But for one night, it was. But I was riding that drive for 5, man. Just riding it. Justin and Lynn. Justin?
Hey, Joe. I just have a thought. That game last night, Joe, was very unacceptable to watching. It wasn't the fact that they lost. It's the way they lost, Joe. They didn't execute down the stretch. And I think some of it had to do with coaching, Joe, and it really bothered me just the way they executed down the stretch. They didn't make plays. They didn't share the ball. You know, they're thinking that game that bothered me last night.
They thought they could just show up and win, and they didn't. Let's talk to Taylor Twellman. We know him, right? Good friend of the show. Maybe he's got some juice for us. And, hey, the Revs playing well. We'll get into that next here in the Sports Hub.
Don't go anywhere. There's more Joe Murray.
right, back here on 98.5, the Sports Hub. I'm Joe Murray. Well, the Revs have been on a little bit of a streak. One of the hottest teams in the MLS right now. Let's talk to a guy who was the all-time leading scorer for the Revs, an analyst for MLS Season Pass on Apple TV. He's Taylor Twellman. He joins us here on 98.5, the Sports Hub. Taylor, how you doing tonight?
Good. Still curious how they're shot. How many threes did the C's shoot last night, Joe? 60?
60, yes, 60.
Oh my God, dude! Just take a layup.
Sorry.
Anyways,
what's the soccer equivalent to that?
Having about 35 to 40 crosses and nobody in front of goal. It's like, at what point do you finally say, you know what, maybe it's not working, and do something else?
Well, speaking of that, I like Caleb Porter. He's on every week here on the station. I know some of the guys that I work with, I know have a nice, healthy relationship with the guy, but what type of adjustments or tweaks has he made? Because I thought he might have been on the hot seat a little bit here, but looks like he might have made some switches to the back line there.
Yeah, it's a very good assessment, Joe. Honestly, I've known Caleb for 20-plus years, and there's never going to be a stone left unturned when he's assessing his team. He's looking to be the first coach to ever win an MLS Cup with 3 different teams. So he's won before, and he's done it by making sure he crosses his T's, dots his I's. And I agree with you. Listen, this team struggled to score goals early on. It's not as if they're scoring a ton of goals now, but I think what was understated in part to people, myself and others that were looking at the goal-scoring woes, is the fact that they've set a franchise record for the best start in franchise history defensively. They're very difficult to play against. And what was interesting to me is Caleb Porter, when he came into Major League Soccer, Joe, for those of you listening, he came from college soccer, went into Major League Soccer, went into Portland, and he was very bold and brash, would like to win a game the way Inter and Barca ended up, where it's 3-2, 7-6, however you want to do it. As he's gotten older, I don't want to say more pragmatic, but maybe a little bit more, we don't need to go for broke for the entire year. We got to make sure we've got a good foundation. And honestly, the Revs right now, what have they won? 4 in a row, 5 of 6. I'd say their foundation's pretty good.
Hey, maybe a playoff race is in store here. What's going on with their defense, though? They got a streak going on right now. Fewest goals allowed in the MLS right now. They're riding a nice little shutout streak, pitching shutouts right now.
It's amazing, too, when you think about it, because I think a lot of us on the outside looking in, we're looking at the money spent on the attacking players and the names that they brought in and said, oh, this may be a Caleb Porter team of old, and yet he's really gone to guys that are just fundamentally doing whatever it takes to win. They're not boring to watch, so I don't want to say that they're defending for their lives and just trying to do anything and everything they can to defend, but as a foundation, they're making sure they build out from the back to front. They've done a real good job. They've got young kids. You know, one of these fullbacks, Joe, it's really important that your listeners understand, he's a local kid, grew up in Hartford. He's been an academy player. There's going to be scouts in Europe this summer that are going to probably offer $9 million plus for him. They're going to have to make a decision in Peyton Miller this summer, but he's got a couple young kids, Feingold's on the other side. They've just got some guys that are putting in the work. Now, in saying that, you're going to call me in 3 or 4 months and then ask me, can they win MLS Cup? The only way they win MLS Cup is if they get Campana scoring goals and Thomas Chonkalai contributing. You can't rely on Carlos Hill to do everything, so they're going to have to be a little bit more balanced going forward. But right now, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, and that's talking about their defensive shape and their defensive structure.
Yeah, Taylor, this is Skaz, you're Joe's producer, and you kind of just touched on a couple of things I wanted to ask you, but you mentioned Peyton Miller there, the 17-year-old, and, you know, this is kind of something the Revs fans have had to, and I don't want to say deal with because it's awesome that they find these guys, but your Matt Turners, your Tajon Buchanans, guys that, you know, come up, through the team, play well, and then get sold to these bigger clubs. Do you think that Peyton Miller is such a special talent that, he is going to be one of these short-term guys for the Revs because he is just that talented? Someone is going to blow them away with an offer?
I mean, Skaz, here's the thing. Peyton holds all the cards, right? Now, I think the Revs unequivocally will say, listen, to whoever comes in with an offer, and if the offer is a can't refuse offer, they're going to ask to do it in the wintertime when he ultimately makes his move. And majority of the teams around the world will allow that, especially for a 17-year-old player. He's talented. There's a profile there that is still very raw, but he's got some real stuff that translates to the Bundesliga, that translates to the Premier League. And, guys, here's what I'll say, because there was once a time when the all-time leading goal scorer was offered the second most for an American player, and the Revs said no. And that player's career ended 6 months later. The reason why I bring that up is you got to be understanding of where you are in the world market. And I think the best marketing tool in the world for the Revs is Tajon Buchanan, Matt Turner, Peyton Miller, and whoever you can move on from, because all it's going to do is open up the next kid to come through. But more so, you're now going to be able to go to South America, Western Europe, and say, look, you can come to Major League Soccer and play for the Revs and further your career. That's been the transcending factor, I think, for Major League Soccer over the last 5-6 years. I get the Revs fans saying, hang on a minute, are we really going to sell Peyton Miller this summer? I don't think you sell him this summer where he's off the team, but I do think an offer is going to come in where everybody is going to have to say, yeah, he probably needs to do this.
Makes me feel a little bit better. I just want to see the kid, play here for as long as possible. But obviously, long term for the Revs, it makes sense to get as much as possible and reinvest.
Look at Noel Buck, right? Like, they didn't strike when the iron was hot. Some of that was Buck and his family. Some of that was England versus the U.S., and now he moves to San Jose. Yes, they keep a percentage sell-on fee, all of that. But there was once upon a time where people were calling, and talking anywhere from $4 to $6 million, and they've got nothing from Buck since that point, right? So it's not, nobody's going to bat 1,000 in the world in this. However, you got a 17-year-old kid, and if Premier League clubs are calling, they're not going to blink an eye when you say, yeah, it's got to be 9.5, 10 million plus. Yeah, that's a hard one not to turn down.
Could the Revs ever be upset that they're a stepping stone organization?
No, it's a great question, because if that's the case, then to your point, Santos is in Brazil. You know what I mean? Like, all of South America would be that case, and you're not. Joe, the simplest way for the non-soccer person to understand this is, once upon a time, when Diego Maradona was playing, England wasn't the best league in the world. It was Italy. It's an ever-evolving turnstile on who is the best league in the world and where it is. But the common denominator is where? Western Europe. And so what happens is, in the world market, because every single player is an asset versus every American league where you can trade the rights to the players and the players don't have rights, you're not really a stepping stone. You're just a player in the world market. Who's to say 15 years from now, Major League Soccer is in a top 7 league in the world? So, Joe, that can change, but that doesn't mean Manchester United, Arsenal, and these clubs with Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, 100 years of history, right now they are the ones that are at top of the pecking order, and you're just trying to have a piece of the pie. Joe, 10 years ago, Major League Soccer didn't have a piece of that pie. Now they're exporting over $200 million worth of players every 6 to 8 months. That is an amazing amount of progress when you talk about the development of the league.
Yeah, Taylor, I just wanted to ask, tomorrow the Revs are going to play Rhode Island FC.
I love it.
Yes, in the U.S. Open Cup. Kind of a team that was founded in 2019 but didn't begin playing until last year. We're good in the USL. I think they lost in the championship final. Could this be like the start of, I know they're not going to play MLS games, but could this be the start of, maybe a little rivalry or just to have another team that close to the Revs? Do you think it elevates the Revs and it elevates Rhode Island? This is something that I think they've kind of needed.
No doubt in my mind, man. I mean, listen, Providence, Rhode Island is very, very under the radar when it comes to the culture of soccer and football around the world, and they are massive in their fan base and love for the sport. They've done a great job. Former teammate of mine is the head coach. Another former teammate of mine is in the ownership group. It's important. Listen, the more we talk about it, you've got Portland, Maine now, having a team that's in the 3rd division within the U.S. landscape in the Hearts of Pine. The more we've got going, it's great. It's important for the New England Revolution, because ultimately when that stadium is built and that becomes the mecca, in the first division of the United States of America, where everyone then in this area is trying to strive to be and to beat and all of that. I think tomorrow night's going to be fantastic. I think there's going to be a spotlight on Providence, Rhode Island. That should have been there years ago when I was playing, but now it's here. They've got their own stadium. It's a big game. It's a huge game for them. The Revs obviously want to win a trophy, so the lineup's going to be intriguing to me, what Caleb Porter brings out. He has said he's going to rotate players. But, yep, to your point, absolutely. It's massive for the sport, and it's great, that it's happening a year before the World Cup.
All right, talking about Taylor Twellman, who is one of the lead analysts on Apple TV, which I was going to mention to you, Taylor. This is how I associate with soccer. Again, I like to bet on the sport. I know I can watch it on Apple TV. The other thing is I work at a card shop it's at Gillette, and Kevin Sullivan just walks in one day. Like, nobody, not a lot of these guys know who they are, but he's a card fan. We realized it. He tweets it out. They tweet it out. And then today, Skaz and I are off the high of this Barcelona game today. This thing was nuts. And you've talked about Peyton Miller. We talked with Eli Feingold a couple of weeks ago. But this Lamine Yamal is the greatest athlete I think I've ever seen in my life. And like, boy, I have all his cards right now. So I'm hanging on to these bad boys because I think they're going to be worth some big boys. But just, can you tell our listeners how amazing this guy is?
I don't know, and I say this with full intention. I don't know if we'll ever see the Messi versus Ronaldo type of era that we saw. We will see players as good as them, but I don't know at the same time, Joe. I really don't. When Lamine came up, and this was, I'm going to say 2019, but there was an under 14. It may have been under 15, but that's besides the point for your listener. It's just important to know that people around the world were talking about this kid, the next Barcelona great. And then all of a sudden, he plays in the European Championships last year, and this picture's floating around. When he got baptized, his mom and dad had Messi take a photo with him. And the photo with Messi and Lamine Yamal was floating around the world in social media. Why do I bring that up? Because there is just such an irony that the greatest of all time, when he comes to Major League Soccer, his jersey's the number one selling jersey in the world, and everyone's talking about the passing of the torch, the passing of the baton, and it is not Kylian Mbappe. It's Lamine Yamal, this young kid playing in the European Championships at 16 for Spain, now for Barcelona at 17. As long as, and I say this, as long as this, fingers crossed, as long as he doesn't get hurt, we're talking about what could be top 10 greatest players ever, because everything he's done up to this point is identical to what Messi did at Barcelona when he came up. And so that's when, Joe, you look at it and say, well, I don't know if we get Messi versus Ronaldo ever again, two players of that quality at the same time, but we are going to get a glimpse of something. And Lamine would be the guy over Kylian Mbappe. And I know that may be at the moment right now a little sacrilegious, but the truth is, what you guys watched today, what you guys have watched over the last 12 months, the kid just turned 17. 17, and he's running the show for Barcelona in a Champions League semifinal at Milan. That says it all.
It was the game was electric today. And again, I bet on it. I hardly know who the guys are. I usually lean on Skaz, and I'm like, hey, man, what do I do here? What do you think here? But that one today was something special.
I mean, the total, what was it? I think total goals was 4.5, and they out-hit it.
7. That's right. We love betting the over. We absolutely love it. Hey, before I let you go, I got to ask you this. You got anything on this Bill Belichick, Jordan Hudson thing?
Oh. I can't believe we're actually talking about it. Yeah, I don't. The only thing I got for you would be probably not suited for this radio show.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm struggling with that one. Here's the thing, Joe. I'm going to put my professional hat on and answer that question. How ironic that Bill Belichick in PR in press conferences, that was who he was for 20 some odd years as an NFL coach. Now you need a 24-year-old's opinion on how to answer a question? Now?
I knew you'd have something for us. I don't know why. I feel like you have more, but I'll leave it at that. How about that? Well, I'm sure you have more. Maybe we can catch up on it in a couple of months here.
I think that video that was floating around in South Boston, I think I now know whose apartment that was. I'll leave you with that.
All righty there. He's Taylor Twellman. We love talking to you, Taylor. Let's do it again in a couple of weeks. I know with a messy game, everyone's all excited about it. We'll hopefully catch up with you. Good luck over at Apple TV, and we love talking to you, man.
You got it, boys. Thanks for talking the sport. I appreciate you.
You got it. He's Taylor Twellman, everybody. Not only does he look good, but he's got a hell of a laugh. We might have to dig that one out later, Skaz.
He's the best. He really is a tremendous interview. But yeah, I knew he was. I think he knew the question was coming, but he dodged it like a professional.
I would love him in studio here.
Oh yeah,
sure. The ladies would love him in studio too. He's a fine-looking man.
Good-looking guy.
That's right. Hey, we got to hit the headline. I'm Joe Murray on the Sports Hub.
From the Town Fair Tire Studios, this is Boston's home for sports.
Holiday 3. Good night. Jalen forces it up over. No. Somebody tied it.
No. WBZFM and HD Boston. 98.5, the Sports Hub. Beasley Media Group Station. Essential Sports Hub headline. Presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Well, the Red Sox are playing. It was raining, and I don't know how they're playing because it was raining so bad on my way in, but... Well, they're losing 2-0. Lucas Giolito on the mound today. 3 innings, 5 hits, 2 earned so far. 50 pitches. What do we got going on in the NBA? Well, Cleveland leads the Pacers 59-49. Who's not? Isn't there like no Garland's out, Mobley out, Hunter out, and they're up 10 at halftime? Huh? How about that? Later on tonight, Golden State and Minnesota, and I'm still laughing at Taylor Twellman. Hurricanes, Capitals, no score. Oilers, Vegas Golden Knights later tonight. Headlines, they are brought to you by Awaken 180 Weight Loss. Give yourself a goal of losing 40 pounds by the 4th. It's doable. It's easy. Your summer self will thank you. Awaken180weightloss.com. I'm Joe Murray.
If you've got the app, you've got Toucher and Hardy to wake you up no matter where you are.
Or who may or may not have been to jail.
Get the app. The 98.5 The Sports Hub app.
This hard.
Yeah, I think you're not going to see a lot of big soccer players, Joe, with tennis. You're not going to see a lot of big tennis with that much
Ronaldo.
Running, you're going to be a fit guy.
Yeah, very very fit. That's the word.
Yes.
Yeah. But it's funny. Can you play that laugh? That was hysterical. We got to hear this thing again. You got anything on this Bill Belichick, Jordan Hudson thing?
Oh. I can't believe we're actually talking about it.
Hearing it live, though, really made me laugh. So he does have something on it. Anyways, the Rhode Island FC, what's this?
I know, a UCL team. They were founded in 2019. They played their first season last year. They were good last year, too. They have a very rabid fan base, too. They've done a really good job of kind of, building it up while the team was, while I guess the team was also being built up. But, yeah, they're building something down there. And look, some people may think that's bad for the Revs to have another team that close, but I think it's a good thing. I think it creates, a rivalry, a fan rivalry, a little territorial. I think that's a good thing to hopefully, just elevate both teams.
Yeah, and just to shout out the Revs. Hey, listen. A lot of the commentary for the Revs have been about the fallout with Bruce Arena, bringing in Caleb Porter, and maybe there were some, maybe just, there was some, I guess, it was hard to adjust. Transition is the word. But they started awful, right? 1 win, 5 games. They're one of the hottest teams in the MLS right now. They've won 4 in a row, all shutouts. They are going on a big, long road trip. Let's see how they play there. But
yeah, I think it's 8 of their next 10 are on the road.
The Revs will be on HD2 tomorrow night. So we have the Celtics, obviously, but if they're a playoff team and they're competitive, we're going to talk about it here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. Not because we're forced to, because they're our partner, but if they're good, and we just talked about these young players like Peyton Miller and Eli Feingold and guys they've had before. I asked if a lot of these guys coming to New England would ownership be upset about being a stepping stone, and I guess it's the other way around. They want to be able to go to places and say, come to New England, and then look what can happen. So I think, Skaz, the Revs are trying to become a destination for the international player to be a stepping stone for their career, but in the end, the Revs can say, hey, this guy was here, that guy was there. There's guys that just, I think that's good for the league, but it's good for the Revs. And we mentioned Caleb Porter's won in this league, so if they're going to be good and they're going to be playoff driven, we're going to talk about it.
Yeah, and I think you're right on. Like they took some criticism early, they've turned it around. I think Caleb Porter was, wanted to get his guys in here. It was a little bit of a trust the process thing, and whenever you hear that, you get a little wary. But he's a defensive coach. That's what they've kind of been preaching, and you've seen the results. Obviously, you want to see other guys start to score. Shankalai, like you mentioned, and I think a really tough thing for American sports fans is the feeder system. It's not something they're used to. You see your good players going off to other teams. It's kind of a tough pill to swallow, but that is the world of soccer. And Taylor did a great job in that interview where he says, look at Santos. They're a legendary club, but a guy like Neymar comes from there and then gets sold. There's countless clubs like that, and they kind of, build up themselves that way, and that's how you become one of these clubs. And then a lot of times, like some of these guys at the tail end of their career will go back, and you get a boost that way. And it might not be so much on the pitch, but off it, and it helps with revenue and all that stuff. So yeah, I think the Revs they've done a really good job identifying these guys and finding legit European talent.
All right. Celtics, Revs off the top. Had a little Bruins in there. Red Sox are losing over at Fenway. Let's get back to some of this Celtics stuff. Ooh, and coming up, I got to take on this Vinatieri Edelman thing. I've been marinating this one for a little bit. I'm ready. We're here till 11 o'clock tonight. I'm Joe Murray. Skaz is here on the Sports Hub.
You're listening to Joe Murray on 98.5. You're listening to Joe Murray on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
What happened in the second half last night? Porzingis was benched. Sam Hauser rolled his ankle. Like, what? Come on. Pritchard barely played. What happened to attacking Karl Anthony Towns on the pick and roll or the ball attacks on Jalen Brunson? What happened to all that? I spent a whole show telling you how awesome the Celtics did against them. And where was that? It was nowhere to be found. The other thing is this. I was very critical of Ime Udoka versus the Warriors the other night, guys. They shot no threes. Everything they did was Shagun in the post and no threes. I mean, and then Steph Curry had 1 3 in the first half and then kind of got going there late and put everybody to sleep. But I don't know how the Rockets were the number 2 seed without being a 3-point shooting team. Remember the old 3-point shooting Rockets with Harden and Gordon and all those guys? Like Ime Udoka's style was to play defense and shoot twos. You can't do that against the Warriors. It got him to 7 games. Just like it got the Celtics through 6 games against the Warriors too. But if you look at last night, the Celtics had 1 2-point attempt in the entire third quarter. And it wasn't just like one guy. But if you look at the shooting chart, they had 25 twos, 20 free throws, 20-point lead. In the second half, they had 7 2-pointers, 6 free throws, and blew a 20-point lead. I'm not saying stop shooting the three. Can you just, I don't know, level it out a little bit more? And honest, Skaz, 2 things, and I'm not making excuses, I'm being critical. I think Jason Tatum has to play power forward on defense. More than he's ever played the 4 positionless basketball. I mean, he lit up the score sheet on rebounds. But defensively, I don't think he wanted to go in the paint. I think he was willing to do it on defense, wasn't willing to do it on offense.
Yeah, I mean, I would kind of agree with that. Unfortunately for the Celtics, this is something Tatum's had to do for numerous of their playoff runs. You could argue that he didn't play his position their entire playoff run last season. When they won the title, he was, when Porzingis out, he was playing a lot of the 4. And I do think Tatum gets frustrated with that at times and, lets it get to him a little more than he should. I think he admitted so after the game that he had some frustration that, hopefully is curbed in the next game. But I'm with you. They're going to need Tatum at the 4 in this series. He's going to have to crash the boards. It's something we talked about with the Magic series as well, where the Celtics are, a guy like Josh Hart, who's 6'4", is getting, I don't even know how many rebounds he had last night, but it felt like he had, 20. I think Max said, after the game, he didn't have as many as I thought, but it just felt like his hands were on every.
11.
Oh yeah, so still for a 6'4" guard, that's what Josh Hart does though. The Knicks they have big guys and they have guys that'll work for rebounds, and the Celtics need to be better with that. And I'm with you. I get it. Missoula ball, shoot the threes, but can we have a quarter where we take more than 1 2-point attempt? I think they'll survive if they do that.
New York went 17 of 31 from the free throw line. The Celtics won the rebounding edge, 59-49. As far as threes go, now they hit 17, the Celtics hit 15, and in the end, that was the difference. It really was. I don't think OG Anunoby's going off for 29 again. So I think that's going to change in the series.
Can I give you just another thing, too, that, if you're a Celtics fan that's relying on, that being an outlier. Now, Brian Barrett, a good friend of the show, had this. The Celtics on open threes last night. So when the closest defender was 4 to 6 feet away from them, they shot 32 of them. Joe, would you like to guess how many they made?
5.
So they made 7.
Okay.
So they shot 22% on open threes. Tatum was 4 of 13, Jalen 0 for 6, White 1 for 7, Holiday 1 for 3, Al 1 for 2, and Pritchard 0 for 1. So you just have to think, JJ Redick, the math works, that they're not going to miss, 25 open threes next game. And I think that's kind of what the Celtics are banking on, which is a little scary, but they've proven they can do it and win a title. So I'm still of that mindset until, unfortunately, or hopefully not, but they show us otherwise.
All right. You just mentioned Brian Barrett of The Ringer.
Yes.
Did you see Michael Pena's article today?
I did.
Basically, what he said was the Celtics attempted and missed more threes than any other team in a playoff game. He thinks that's bad news for the New York Knicks. I agree. New York won in overtime. They were resilient. I just think that the 63s that they launched, they'll be better than that. I think their shot will go down. But I want New York Knicks fans to celebrate. I was in Boston today. I saw New York Knicks fans. Like, they were gloating. Like, go ahead, have your Super Bowl. Have it. The Celtics did give up home court. They did. But come on. They were still able to exploit Tom Thibodeau and their defenders. I'm not green teaming. I'm just stating the fact that the Knicks won the game because they persevered and didn't tap out. And down the final minutes, their best players made the defensive plays and the Celtics didn't. I think that's what I think that's what happened. Mikal Bridges made a great play at the end of the game. Brunson did screw up a couple of times late in the game, Mr. Clutch.
2 turnovers in the final, 90 seconds, but when you win, and he missed the bunny at the end. So when you win, none of that gets brought up, and that's what should happen when you win the basketball game.
New York doesn't have the personnel to do this. I don't think they do. I don't want to give the Celtics credit for this, but despite whatever New York threw at Boston, the Celtics were still able to generate the most threes in a playoff game. Like, they completely ripped the Knicks' game plan to shreds. They ripped it to shreds. The Celtics couldn't hit open shots. They choked the lead away. Like, they shredded their game plan. They lost by 3.
Joe, I can give you just a sliver of green teaming if you'll allow.
Please, go ahead.
Joe, would you rather be down 0-1 in the series to the New York Knicks or to the Indiana Pacers or the Denver Nuggets?
So, can I pose a different question?
Please.
What team down 0-1 are you most concerned about? Oklahoma City, Cleveland, or Boston?
For me, I would love to say OKC just because they're playing the best player in the world in Jokic, and I think in that sport, the best player in the world can win you a series at any time. But I think it's Cleveland.
It's Cleveland too.
With their injuries and the way the Pacers run and gun, I think Cleveland, of those, the 3 best teams in the league that are down 0-1, I think the Cavs are in the toughest spot.
Up 11 right now, 10 minutes to go. Why don't I tell you the score and headlines? We'll do that there. And Hall of Fame talk, Patriots Hall of Fame talk. We'll do that next on the Sports Hub.
Sports Hub headlines. Presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Cavs lead the Pacers 64-52 just after halftime. Warriors, Timberwolves. Friends would feel when I say that I missed them. Do you think they were like Bryson invited us to his baseball game the other day?
Joe, we can't escape them.
That's true. We can't.
Josh called last night.
That's right. Hey, Josh, get in here and cut some audio, will you? Damn it. Anyways. Plus, I don't know. There was always somebody over there to yell at besides you. I'd kind of take it out on them and not you. So now I feel like there's empty space over there.
You'd get a good reaction from that seat.
Oh, yeah.
That was kind of like you're playing to the crowd over there, seeing what you could get out of them.
Now I got hockey on. What the hell happened last night, by the way? A scary scene. It was,
with Stolarz there. Yeah, it was not good. And I saw Taylor actually tweeted about it. He's a guy that unfortunately is very familiar with concussions. But yeah, apparently some injury history there. Took a bad shot. What? In a bad...
obviously, Blues got eliminated. But I saw something floating around that he might be done. So, the Bruins got porked. Let's talk to Tim in Nashua. What's up, Tim?
Joey, last night, the Celtics game, was that a coaching, a lack of coaching, or was it lack of leadership on the floor, recognizing, hey, we got to change this up a little bit?
All right, good question. I'm going to go with there was zero coaching and just stick to the process. But I do wish that at times they'd be like, screw this process, score.
Yeah, I mean, if you're that much of a superstar, and I've played with, certain players that they could see the different space, the different shots, the different plays before they even happen. It's like almost a natural gift.
Tim, you got some game? Who you play with?
I played hockey when I was a kid in Reading, and I played with a couple of players that played for the Bruins. I was very fortunate to be surrounded by a lot of good players.
That's great. And now you're in Nashua, New Hampshire.
Yeah, doing the family thing. Yeah.
Have you been to the Nash yet?
Oh, yeah.
How is it?
Yep. Delish.
Ooh, what? Any suggestions on what to eat over there?
I love they have this burger with the over easy egg.
Ooh.
I love it.
Love it. I guess I'll have to check that out, Tim. Thank you very much, sir. In or out on egg on a burger?
Yeah, I'm in. A little hangover burger, I think it's referred to as. Yeah. I don't know. I don't want like a super runny egg, though. It's got to be.
This guy's, the guys I played against.
Yeah, Joe, who was the best guy you played against?
Probably Manny Del Carmen, who pitched for the Red Sox. I mean, am I really going down this list now? I don't want to do that. Derek Knight was an incredible running back at Boston College. I played with Stevie Haley on my high school basketball team who played at Boston College. Yeah. Are we doing that?
Little story time.
I feel like Pat Sajak after, when he spins the wheel and he's like, all right, whatever it lands on, and it lands on like 5,000, and then he just hits the sleeve. I feel like that just happened. All right. You ready for this? Because we got in or out coming up. I told you, Skaz. I told you that Edelman was going to win that damn fan vote.
You were right, and I was wrong, Joe.
Wow. I'm pissed about it.
I am too, because I want it to be right, but I also think Vinatieri should have been in there.
It's not a slight on Julian Edelman. He should be in the Patriots Hall of Fame. Julian Edelman is more than well deserving to be in the Patriots Hall of Fame. He deserves it. I don't want to take anything away from Julian Edelman. Unfortunately, that's what's going to happen. Next year, potentially, Adam Vinatieri is going to get into the real Hall of Fame. Bill Belichick, potentially next year, will be in the real Hall of Fame. I don't know what his PR team's going to do, but he may be in there. Rob Gronkowski is going to come up next. There's going to be a lot of big names. We're going to do in or out in a minute here. I'm out on the Patriots Hall of Fame. This is an indictment. It's an indictment. Sorry. And your take on Bill Parcells? Indictment.
Well, Joe, thank you, first of all. But I was going to say the indictment is not Edelman getting in. It's Bill Parcells getting in and getting in before, Vinatieri and Edelman. Bill Parcells never voted into the Patriots Hall of Fame, which I think is a big thing. Quit on the team, 500 record as the head coach. Once again, quit on the team in the Super Bowl. But, Joe, I have, my theories. Why do you think Edelman was voted in over Vinatieri?
I think that younger people know how to go online and vote. And there's probably more people watching the Patriots during the Edelman era than they were alive for the Vinatieri era. I think the Patriots have always had a strong fan base, but I think their second run was bigger than their first run. I think Julian Edelman is on everywhere. Documentaries, podcasts, he's in your face. He's on DraftKings ads. He's attractive. He's bros with, Gronk.
He's a big drinker of the Kool-Aid as well. I think he's still
Tom Brady.
a massive backer of all things New England Patriots.
Yep. Yeah. He's a laundry guy.
Well, Adam Vinatieri is not. He played longer for the Colts than he did with the Patriots. Do you think that's part of it? Because for me, I can kind of get that, but when I think of Patriots history, I have Vinatieri above Edelman. I would think almost every Patriots fan would, but maybe I'm wrong.
There's two things that popped up with me this weekend. I was on with Matt McCarthy on Sunday. Roger Clemens was in town. And to me, I don't understand why his number is not retired. Now, the Red Sox have this thing where they want people to go to the Hall of Fame or retire a Red Sox, and then they retire your number. I don't think Roger Clemens getting in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, in the MLB Hall of Fame, Baseball Hall of Fame. But it was the Red Sox who did Roger Clemens dirty. The New England Patriots did Adam Vinatieri dirty. He did not want to be franchised. He got franchised 2 years in a row. He asked for a long-term deal.
Me personally, Joe, just me, I would rather have the guy who made the biggest plays on the field in franchise history, game-winning kicks, game-tying kicks, the most famous kicks in the history of the entire league. Me personally, I would have that guy in my team Hall of Fame before I put the guy that was a 500 head coach who quit on the team in the Super Bowl and, begs for credit for the Super Bowls they won post his error. That's me personally.
Skaz, I think that the gesture would have been better to automatically put Adam Vinatieri in over Bill Parcells. I personally agree that Vinatieri, Edelman, and Parcells should all be in the Hall of Fame. But the fan vote shows they weren't going to vote Vinatieri or Parcells in. That's an indictment. I'm out. Next year when Gronk's name comes up, you just lay down. Just lay down. You mean to tell me Rob Gronkowski's going to get beat out by Logan Mankins? Laugh about that, please.
I did, yes. Cue up the Twellman laugh.
Who the hell is going to compete with Rob Gronkowski for a fan vote? Name anybody. Because Edelman would lose that one too. Vinatieri would lose it. Parcells would lose it.
The only guy's Brady, and obviously that's never happened. He's in.
What about Belichick?
I think.
What do you think? We assume it's a young audience, right?
Yeah, if we're assuming young audience, I would say maybe Gronk wins that vote just because of the way things ended with Bill. But that shouldn't even be a vote either. You know what I mean? Belichick's a Patriots Hall of Famer. He's an NFL Hall of Famer. Done, and he should already be in both, in my opinion.
Yeah. I'm out.
I thought we were going to get some Wes Welker talk there, Joe.
May I just state for the record, sirs and ma'ams and everyone else, Wes Welker did more in his time with the New England Patriots. Just with the Patriots. Not the Rams, not the Broncos, not the Dolphins. He did more with the New England Patriots than Julian Edelman did in his entire career. But watch, nobody will vote. Is Wes Welker already in? Is he even in? I don't care anymore. I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. This thing really, I've been marinating this thing for a couple of days now. We didn't even air fry this thing. I went right to the grill.
Wes Welker is not in the Patriots Hall of Fame. I don't believe. From a very quick Google search. We would have known that.
It's so whack. It's so whack. It's whack. I hope someday people look back on it. I will say this. Between Tom Brady, people will tell you Randy Moss is probably the best wide receiver they ever seen. He was great. He's a Hall of Famer. Wes Welker did more. He produced more. If we're talking pure production for the New England Patriots, nobody had more production. Now, if you want to push back at me that Steven Gostkowski has more points than Adam Vinatieri, are you going to do that to me, Skaz? Are we going to do a Gostkowski versus Vinatieri? Because I would shove you all in a locker. By the way, in the 2007 Super Bowl, they had a chance to kick a 50-yard field goal, but they didn't trust the damn kicker. But if you kept Vinatieri, Wes Welker was put up huge numbers for the Patriots. He did more just with the Patriots than some guys have done in their careers. Keith's in Florida. Hi, Keith.
Hey, Joe. How you doing? Hey, I got two takes here. One is about Vinatieri. The other one is about being up in the area next week for 9 days. I want to say that my brother Jim in Chicago was a big-time sportscaster there. He took me to Super Bowl 36. I cried when that field goal went through because I waited since I was 10 years old for that championship. But the reason why I think that he should have gotten in, and I voted for him 6 times, by the way, okay? He should have got in simply because if he doesn't make those 2 kicks in the Snow Bowl, there is no first 2 championships in the dynasty. Now, Brady and Belichick would have eventually won Super Bowls, but I'm saying those first 2, 36 and 38, might not have happened because if he doesn't kick them field goals, the Patriots don't go to the AFC Championship game. So that's about that.
Real quick, Keith, you could make a case, and maybe I'm being hyperbolic here. You could make a case that Adam Vinatieri was a better player than Tom Brady that year.
Yeah, well, here's what I argue with people. When people the last couple of years were saying, well, especially down here in Florida, well, it was all Tom Brady. We had nothing to do with Belichick. It was all Tom Brady. I said, wait a minute. The first 3 Super Bowls we won on defense, okay? Brady was, kind of like new in the league, so we won on defense. If it's enough of Belichick's defenses, we don't win those first 3 championships because it was Vinatieri that delivered with the field goals. So in order to do that, you have to play great defense, okay? And then, of course, Tom got us down the field. But if Vinatieri doesn't make those kicks, forget it. We don't win those games. Now about being up there. Going up there next Thursday for 9 days, my granddaughter's first birthday. What I wanted to ask you is, I know sometimes you do live things at some of the area restaurants, for the Celtics and the Bruins and stuff. Are you going to be anywhere at any restaurant? Because I sure would like to come by and meet you. That would be my dream, man. Thanks for letting me on. Appreciate it. Love you. Bye.
I appreciate that. I don't know if I will be anywhere, but I believe the Felger and Maz Road show will be at Hurricanes.
I think tomorrow.
Okay. No, they have sent me there. Anyways, anybody want? But someone is saying that my Welker take smells, guys. And I don't get me going. I could do this for an hour if you really want me to, and I'm not going to. But I would just say this. Look up Wes Welker's numbers. Look up Julian Edelman's numbers. And then go bury your head in the sand. Caller number 10 right now to the contest line. 617-931-0985 will score a pair of tickets to Sasanta version 2.0. A 61st birthday celebration for Maynard James Keenan of Tool, featuring a perfect circle, Pucifer, and Primus. See all three bands on stage at the same time with the SNHU Arena, in Manchester, New Hampshire. The Sanu Center, I call it. In Manchester, New Hampshire. Few tickets still available via Ticketmaster.com. So be caller number 10 right now. You'll get to see Maynard. Maybe he'll be in a diaper. Last time I saw him, he was in a diaper playing the bass. In or out? Next here on the Sports Hub.
What's it gonna be, McFly? Are you in or out?
Sports Hub.
Are you in or out? Gotta know without a doubt. I'm the one you need for a dirty deed. I'm the best. Success is guaranteed.
Appears a web series, I believe. It'll be, so here we go. The Patriots will soon be releasing episodes for a series titled Forged in Foxborough. Fans will be getting an exclusive look into what is going on.
The other thoroughbred I know like that is Steve Burton. Next.
Not touching that one. All right, Joe, we'll head to the world of fast food for this one. Burger King, Joe, in a little bit of hot water. They're ordered to face a lawsuit alleging Whoppers are way smaller than advertised. Are we in or out on the Whopper lawsuit?
How they make burgers and food for photos. They are superimposed. Now, not by any, graphics. They put toothpicks on the patties. And they put stakes in to raise everything. So, in on the lawsuit, you know why? Because that's a big beef. The Whopper is that's a mammoth burger. That should be that's a big beef. And quite frankly, if it looks smaller than you think it is, it's false advertising. Now, I've said before, when I see food on television or commercials, because I got got recently. You know who got me?
Who got you?
Domino's.
Oh,
they have that. Now I'm a thin crust pepperoni all day.
You're a Domino's guy.
I love Domino's. But you know what they got me on was Pizza Hut used to do this. Cheese crust, stuffed crust, they call it. So Domino's was like, yeah, get 50% off these stuffed crust pizza. So I ordered it. It looked great on television. But it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. But it made me go, dude, there's been times where you know what I keep seeing right now? Those new tenders at McDonald's.
Oh, the McStrips or whatever they're calling them?
I tried to go on my way today.
No luck?
Well, the rain. Missy Elliott. I can't stand the rain. It got in the way of my adventure. I was going to do a social video and everything. Maybe I'll have to wait for Street Team Joe to do it. Ooh. When's he in next?
I believe he'll be joining us Thursday night.
Okay. Me and Street Team Joe Thursday night. McCrispies. Or what do you call it?
Yeah, something like that.
Do we try the cream sauce?
Oh, God. I'm in.
Someone called Wes Welker the Seabiscuit of horse racing. The Seabiscuit.
Give him a movie.
He should.
Undrafted, right?
Undrafted to
to Joe's Hall of Fame. The Joe Murray Hall of Fame.
Hey, I told you the Hauser party for one's not working out right now. What else we got tonight?
All right, Joe, sticking with fast food and burgers, this from Wendy's. Wendy's has started selling their beef patties in select supermarkets, Joe. Are you in or out on Wendy's? Roy tweeting about it earlier today. Apparently Fagan's family gave their blessing for this and said they were okay with it. But Joe Murray, are you in or out on the use of AI to bring back Jim Fagan's voice?
Out.
Yeah.
I don't want holograms of Tupac. I don't want anything like that. If it ain't real, go. Put the song a long time ago. Please tell me people get that reference unless I'm just old. See, someone wants Johnny Most during Celtics games. Would you be in or out on that? AI Johnny.
I'm out on AI, Joe. I'm out.
What about AI Tommy Points?
Out. Out on all of it. If you're one of these
AI
people
Jerry Remy.
That's creating AI images on the internet.
AI. There's going to be an AI Joe Murray one day.
Yeah, I'm out on all of it.
They're going to
stop feeding the robots.
Yes, I'm going to lose my job, which I'm close enough to a computer.
Yeah, I would just recommend to our listeners out there, stop using AI for silly little things that you think are fun and cute. I would just be wary. Maybe take a step back. Enough with the AI. Have your own thoughts for just a second, please.
And now there's a steal by Tatum underneath to Derek White. Lays it in.
Not bad. I've heard worse.
That Caldwell Pope is young. What a disgusting, disgusting display by Karl Anthony Towns. I actually know a guy who can nail the Johnny Most. Where is he? What's his name, man? This Peabody guy. Gary. Why am I forgetting his name? He's probably going to text me now. Anything else, Skaz, for tonight?
Yes, Joe, why not? You were in Vegas recently. We'll head to Vegas for our last one. A new seafood restaurant is coming to the Bellagio, featuring a dock and a boat that you will be able to ride on across the lake as you dine. Joe Murray, are you in or out on the mobile Bellagio seafood restaurant?
Okay, let me just... Give me a second on this one. I go to the Bellagio. I watch the waterfall out front. I go inside, and there's a restaurant that will take me on a boat tour. While I'm on that boat tour, they're going to feed me seafood.
That's what they're telling me, Joe. Don't shoot the messenger. But yes, from what I read, sounds like a beautiful, too. From the picture, I believe it's in Slack. It looks like a great time.
Like, I've been to New York on a roller coaster before. Is that kind of like the same setup? I don't know how I feel about seafood and amusements. I don't know if that's a mix.
I gotta say, I don't like the thought of being mobile while I'm eating seafood. That feels like a stationary kind of meal.
Seafood.
You're listening to
All right, back here on 98.5, the Sports Hub. Celtics down 1-0 in the series. Let's talk to our buddy Brian T. Robb. He of Mass Live. He of Celtics Broadcasting. He of 98.5, the Sports Hub. How you doing, B-Rob?
Joe, did not expect they would have to go back to New York twice in this series, but we might be going that way.
Will you fly or take the train?
Train. It's too convenient with MSG right there. Just to walk off, go to the hotel, can be in there in 5 minutes.
I like that. All right. So I have, for 2 years, I've had the greatest take in the world that the Celtics front-running style makes other teams tap out. It's worked for 2 years. It did not work in game one. So should I credit the New York Knicks for being resilient, or should I be critical of the Celtics for continuing to play the process?
I think the game one loss was more on the Celtics than crediting the Knicks. The Knicks did well. Like OG Anunoby went for 29 points. I think he He had scored 15, was his career high against the Celtics before that game. Brunson did Brunson things down the stretch. Josh Hart was everywhere in the glass. But it wasn't like they played out of their minds. Like they got back into the game in a hurry and just were better executing in crunch time, and the Celtics were not. And so the fact that the Celtics had one of the worst shooting nights in playoff history and perhaps more concerning, had a few glaring defensive breakdowns down the stretch when things got tight. That is if the Knicks, that game was given to them on a silver platter in the last 20 minutes of the game, and they happily took it, but they shouldn't get extra credit for it. Only one catch and shoot.
Wow.
And so, again, when he has it going, and we've seen him destroy the Knicks with that, but late in the game, when they started contesting him pretty well on some of them because they knew it was coming, that's when it was all right, why you're not shooting well, why are you not going to the hoop when you have Mitchell Robinson or Towns or Brunson on you to either get the layup or create a wide open shot for someone else? There was not much of that in the end of regulation or overtime, and I think that's why they're down 1-0 today.
So I want to be critical of Missoula. He, even after the game, said he liked the process, stick to the process. Do you think, I want him to get on you about this because he probably will. Do you think that he stuck to a process, or do you think he was coaching in that game?
I mean, I think he was coaching, but he believed in the process. His coaching was sticking to the process. Because he said it after the game last night. He liked a lot of the looks and got a chance to review the film today and pretty much repeated the same thing to us. He acknowledged there were 5 or 10 shots on the stretch that they could have gotten better. That might be a conservative estimate. But, yeah, I have wholeheartedly believe that he thinks that. In my mind, where I'm critical of Joe from last night, I did not like the decision not to call a timeout there until 3 seconds left in overtime when they were down 3, because Derek White got that ball, Joe, with 17 seconds left on the clock, down 3, and nothing happened for the next 14 seconds until Towns fouled Brown. And so if you call timeout there right away, yes, I know you can take Towns and Brunson out of the game, how he explained after the game, wanted to get a quick hit, but is Mitchell Robinson and McBride really that scary of defenders? You have Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown on this team, and a bunch of former All-Stars around them. You should be able to get what you want if you have a good play set up in that situation. So by not extending the game there, they let the Knicks foul them at 3 seconds. Now they know that they can give a foul. The Celtics have to go for a 3 no matter what. They don't have much time to do it with 3 seconds as opposed to 13 or 15. And so stuff like that, when you reduce your chances of tying the game, is taking opportunities away. That's what bothered me about that night from a coaching perspective more than anything else.
How about just the final play in the fourth quarter there? The Towns with the fouls and this is why I bring up coaching. Was that drawn up? And I know that Missoula, obviously at the end of the game, had explanations for everything. It's hard for me to sit here and okay, my take, B-Rob, is that everything that they wanted to do worked flawlessly in the first half. They tried to double down on it in the second half, and it backfired. That's just my thought.
Yeah, I think that's fair. The problem is all night, they're up by 15, 20. They shot terribly for most of the night regardless. In the first half, they were just getting a ton of offensive rebounds and second chance points, and also getting to the line because they were getting Towns and foul trouble and Josh Hart in foul trouble, et cetera. And then once they got up by 20 there, they got kind of loose of it. And I honestly think they let down their guard defensively more than anything else and continued to not, shoot not great. And then obviously the wheels fell off and the variance came into play there. But I don't know, Joe, when you're up 20 points and then you 19 of your 20 shots in the third quarter are 3-pointers. I understand the process. I understand those are right open looks, but sometimes it's just get the win. And when you take that many threes, you just introduce more variability in the equation than you need to against a team like the Knicks where if you make the extra pass, you can get layups, you can get easy looks. There's like, this team is not going to slow you down if you get them scrambling when Towns and Jalen Brunson are on the floor. And the ball movement wasn't there for much of the night to the degree it could have been. 18 assists total for the Celtics. That's I think a bottom 5 total for them all year. So I agree with you. Like they doubled down on things when they didn't need to, and then things got tight late, and they just, whether they're out of gas or whatever. But I think it ultimately falls on Tatum and Brown more than anything else. I think those guys, both of those guys, delivered huge duds in the second half of that game, and it starts there and it kind of ends there.
All right, talking about Brian Robb at Mass Live. You're there. Like you watch all the games. You're around the team often. Like you know the ins and outs. There, we work the games here, so we're not down there, but we watch a lot. And there are times where I look at the group and I just wonder if, the tread on the tire is wearing a little bit. If they're like, think about it. This team has played in an Eastern Conference Finals for how many years straight? How many? They've played extra games. Last year, it got them all over the hump. They were motivated. This year, they were supposed to be on the Tatum revenge tour, right? They've done all that. I'm not discrediting anything they've done. Is there ever a time where you look at the team and wonder if the path is harder for them more than their opponent?
It's fair to wonder to a degree because of the grind they've been through, like you said, of, Tatum, Drew Holiday, Derek White. I see him playing since the Olympics, essentially. Al Horford's 38. And then now you have, in this series, it got to be tested even more from Hauser's probably going to be out. Porzingis has been a shell of himself throughout this entire postseason, and is probable for game 2, but you haven't been able to count on him in playoffs pretty much ever over the course of his career. So it's like we knew the road was going to be tougher this year, Joe, but even against everything has been a little bit tougher than expected since the start of the postseason right now. Like the Magic really made them work to win that series. The offense, they had to work harder than they expected to against the physicality and the switching there. And so it was supposed to be a big relief against this Knicks defense. And again, from a shot quality from the 3-point, looks like there was to a degree, but that also, you have to be hitting those shots. And if you're not, then you're opening yourself up to the upset here. So I'll be fascinating to see what Porzingis looks like, because if he's not himself again, then the burden falls even heavier on Brown, Tatum, and the older guys in this roster like Drew Holiday and Al Horford, because I don't see Joe Mazzulla going down into his bench to find a spark if Hauser can't go. I expect him to just play in the rotation and have these guys figure it out. And the Knicks, for their flaws, they pretty much play 5-6 guys period, and those guys have been playing 40-45 minutes all year long. That's all Tips knows. Yep. So they're ready to have these long grinded out games, and so the Celtics have to be ready to go right there toe to toe with them. And at the end of game 1, they weren't.
I was just going to ask that. Skaz said the same thing. I asked him, what do you think they do if they're down Hauser? And he said, tighten up. You just said the same thing. I do want to be critical of their loss. Like that was eye-opening, and I hope they bounce back from it, and I still think they win the series. But let's just hypothetically say that Porzingis isn't right, and they're without Hauser for a game or two. They clearly, destroyed whatever defense Thibodeau threw at them. They just didn't make their shots. If they were to go to another member of the bench, who would be the person they would go to?
I want to say Torrey Craig, just because of the playoff experience. Like, Joe likes guys that have been there, that he can trust from that standpoint. And even though Shireman kind of came on late in the year there and was seeing minutes over Craig in some spots, I think in this series with what's required defensively, my guess is Craig gets the first crack, not necessarily the last crack. It might be pulled quickly there and give Shireman a shot if they need, if the offense is slow there. But that would be my guess, would be the next guy they would go to. The other fascinating thing here, Joe, if Porzingis is not right or doesn't able to play, it does take away the double big element that this team has played with a ton this year and has been great with Cornette playing alongside Horford or Porzingis or those two together. So if things get dire and they're getting killed in the glass like that, I don't expect them to like turn to a guy like Nene unless Porzingis is like fully out. But it does make me wonder if they do get in trouble in this series, if that's what they'll go do. I don't think that's going to happen, to be fair. Even if Porzingis is out, I still expect them to win this series, rather handily in maybe 6 games, I'd put it at. But that just hasn't – Joe has not had to deal with this before. Like, everything in the playoffs obviously went incredibly smoothly last year. This, even with Tatum out, in the last series, everything ended up working out. But now you're seeing a series deficit for the first time in 2 years, and you might have to try some things you didn't have to try because of what the rotation looks like from a health standpoint.
Well, the Celtics have lost game 1 of the second round in 3 of their last 4 seasons. So, and guess what? They won all those series. So, not too concerned, but it was just they became the New York Knicks yesterday, and that bothered me. Final thing, because I'm watching I have the Cavs-Pacers game up. Of the teams that lost game 1, I'll take the Cavs out of it because they're probably going to go up 1 or be tied 1-1. Who are you more concerned about of the 3 teams, Cavs, Celtics, or Oklahoma City?
I think Cavs probably have the best chance to lose the series, even though they're going to win tonight. Just with the injuries they have, like Mobley being out, that's a huge deal. And the Pacers have been there before, and that's a good, feisty playoff team. They're not going to be – the offense is going to be there all postseason long. We saw it from the Celtics, and even though the Celtics swept that team last year, they were easily the toughest team for the Celtics to go through, and probably should have won at least 2 of those games before blowing it in crunch time situations. So I look at that. The Thunder are fascinating me, but I probably put the Celtics the lowest level of concern out of those 3 teams. I'd put the Thunder next because they're at least more unproven, and outside of SGA, like, you're going up against the best player in the world, and Jokic, and that team has won a title, so they have their flaws, but they're at least ready for the limelight. And with the collapse they showed the last 6 minutes of that game, that's something that is going to leave a mark with them, I feel like. So it'll be fascinating to see. But if I was going to bet on one of those underdogs to win a series at this point, it'd be the Pacers.
All right, B-Rob. Well, we'll be watching you tomorrow night, my man. And then you'll be on.
All right, appreciate it, Joe.
Then you'll be on a train in New York, huh?
Yeah, then.
What do you do on the
Hopefully
train?
just one.
What do? You write when you're on the train?
Yeah, it's a pretty. We take a train down there, Joe. It's a nice experience. It's like you come on, you don't have to go through security or anything. You put the bag up high. There's plenty of tables all over the place. So as long as it's not a packed train, you can really get some space for yourself. A nice little snack bar where you can bring the food on. So it's just, as long as you're not have a bunch of people chatting around you, it's a nice quiet ride.
All right, B-Rob, appreciate your time, man. Enjoy the games.
All right, thanks, Joe.
You got it. It's Brian Robb, everybody, of Mass Live. I'm on a train. Oh, no, that's a plane. Sorry, that was Nirvana. I don't know why What another song's about a train. Oh, Vanilla Ice had to stop that train. Come on, ride this train and ride it. Da, da. I'm on a night train by Guns N' Roses. Should I keep going, Skaz, or should we just go to headline?
I think I'm good.
Yeah. Songs about trains. Let's see.
Crazy Train, Joe.
On the midnight train to Georgia. Yeah, Crazy Train. Did Bob Seger have a song about a train? I don't know why. All right, let's go to headlines. I'm Joe Murray.
Sports Hub Headlines. Presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Well, looks like the Red Sox are losing 6-1. Cavaliers are up 7 with 46 seconds left. 119-112. Warriors T-Wolves will be on in just Here. Hello.
It's Tom and Quincy.
Hey, Tom and Quincy. How are you, sir? Do you think you fell asleep? It's funny because it doesn't say that on my call screen. Well, Tom, you're always welcome. You called back. I like you as a caller.
It says it on mine. That's kind of odd.
I like most of our callers. Somebody's texting me. The Joe Murray research team has gotten back to me. Just to push back against Matt McCarthy. Wow, okay. To me.
What did Matt McCarthy do?
Again, I was on Sunday, so he's
guilty. No.
It's like, we're all guilty by association.
Yes.
If I do something, you get crap for it, right? You say something, I get crap for it. Lift shots. Oh, I love lift shots. Love you. Mean it. Bankroll boys for life, baby. But, oh, yeah, guilty by association. But I was on with Matt on Sunday, so he must have said something. He goes, the pushback against McCarthy and anyone else who wishes to diminish the over 22.5 theory. The over 20, and this is Red Sox wins first 40. The over-under of 22.5 has proved to be pretty consistent as the wild card rules changed through the previous 22 years. Through 03 through 11, there was one wild card team. 23 or more wins 7 times, 6 playoff appearance. 22 or fewer wins 2 times, 0 playoff appearance. From 12 to 21, 2 wild card teams. 23 or more wins 4 times, 4 playoffs. 22 or fewer 6 times, 1 playoff. From 22 to 24, there were 3 wild card teams. 23 or more wins 0 times, 0 playoffs. 22 or fewer wins 3 times, 0 playoffs. Long story short, if you don't have 23 wins out of your first 40 games, you don't make the playoffs. What just happened? What am I missing here?
Joe, the Indiana Pacers just won game 2.
The Pacers just won.
In almost as improbable, maybe more.
What the hell? Me and B-Rob. B-Rob, get back on the phone. The Pacers just won.
Yes, in improbable fact. I mean, the Cavs, you want to talk about a choke. The Cavs choke this game away.
Oh, Halliburton made him dance. He did the Sam Cassell marbles.
Onions.
Oh! Dude, Skaz. What team have you and I said is the biggest threat to the Boston Celtics?
The Indiana Pacers. I can't believe they just won that game. And what a year for the NBA playoffs. Like, usually the first round matchups are kind of, done and over with in 4 games. No one really cares. But this year, the NBA playoffs have been unbelievable. The parity in the league is as good as I've seen it in quite a while. And credit to Indiana because they were out of that game. They were trailing. I don't know. It was like
they went down 7 points with 45 seconds left. I chalked it up as a loss. I started betting the other game. Literally. That's like the football stuff when you're not looking and all of a sudden it's like how they scored 10 points in 30 seconds.
That was a choke. Where's Reggie Miller when you need him?
So, may I ask the question again, sir? Of the teams that lost game 1, who are you most concerned about?
The Cleveland Cavaliers.
I can't believe that just happened. Dude, is Halliburton rising?
I've always been I know he has stretches where he's not great, but
no,
he's a hell of a player.
He's an all-star.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is he? I mean, hey, we all talked about the revenge tour of Jason Tatum not playing in the Olympics, right? Do you know who played less? Halliburton. Are we starting to see he's the point guard of the Pacers. Like, he facilitates very well. He made Ty Jerome dance. That's their best defender? Are you kidding me? But, hey, in the Cavs' defense, when you don't have Carter, Garland, and Mobley, you're exposed. Like, do you want to look? Okay, it's a choke job, but like, did Kenny Atkinson do anything to lose the game? I guess I wish I wish I could be more critical. That's what I'm saying.
Close enough. I'll honestly go back and rewatch tonight when I get home.
The only thing I could say is they didn't have 3 starters, dude. I mean, Hunter's a player. I know he's not a starter, but I can't believe that just happened.
The number 1 seed in the East will be heading on the road down 0-2.
This is a reminder to Celtics players, if you're listening tonight. Home court is wide open in the East.
And the Cavs just wasted a 48-point performance from Donovan Mitchell, who was 15 of 30.
You hear that? Tappa, tappa, tappa. It's coming. I took the L tonight, though. Tom and Quincy. Hi, Tom.
What's up, guys? You hear me?
I got you, bro.
Yeah, my bad about earlier. I don't know what was happening. Listen, that was the best to hear your reaction to that Indiana game, because I also chopped that up as a win for Cleveland. And I'm a little worried about the Celtics, because 2 years ago, no one saw the Celtics losing to the 8th seed as well. And if you remember, we lost game 1 and 2, both where we had a 10-point lead going into the 4th. So my concern with Joe Mazzulla is he doesn't know when to go away from the analytics and tell the guys, hey, drive the ball. We had Cat in the penalty by halftime. He had 3 or 4 fouls by halftime. Keep driving. Like, I couldn't understand why they just, chalk up 3 is fine. But Tatum, they'll give you every call in Boston. Like, drive the net, dude. And I don't know if it's Tatum. He doesn't, the coach's one job is to help the players from hurting themselves. And when his shot isn't on, just say, dude, drive the ball. That's all he had to do. That's all we had to do is secure the win. And to be frank, I think that's more on the coach. The players do it, but it's on the coach to make sure they're doing the right things. And we weren't for literally the whole second half last night.
Tom,
and I
agree with you.
I worry, Joe. This is the one thing. I worry that this is going to be another Pierce and Garnett era where they should have won more, but they didn't. You know what I mean?
I don't. I can't go there, dude. You know why? Because every team taps out, dude. New York didn't. They just didn't. And listen, if they lose in the final and they went to 3 finals in 4 years, and you say they should have won more, I'll agree with you then.
Okay, but we're also, Wick wasn't trading the team in 2010, where now he sold the team. So, we don't know what next year is really going to be comprised of. It's literally win or die at this point.
That's what. Did you watch Celtic City?
I did. Yep.
Yeah, they. When you look back on it, they let Kobe win. Kobe. I blame Doc. How about that?
I blame Doc, too, because all you had to do was give Garnett and Pierce a minute of a breather, and we got 2 championships.
Yeah,
that's all you had to do.
Play Tony Allen on Kobe a little bit more than sticking Ray Allen's ass out there all night.
Dude, Garnett was that was the most tired I've ever been. Yeah, no crap, because Doc, who's clearly not that great of a coach, and that's my whole point, is coaching is literally they benefit from the players, but they also they're not the scapegoat that they should be. If I'm the new owner of the Celtics and the Celtics somehow lose in this round or even in the next round, I agree with you. Indiana is a big threat, but at the same time, if I'm Will Chisholm and I've spent $7 billion on a team, I'm sorry, Joe, but I want someone who knows what to do when the analytics aren't working. That's all I'm going to say. So he's the first move I'm making.
How about this? If they lose and they blow it, I'll take you to Cagney's. We'll get a beer and we'll eat some fried pickles.
Yeah, the Fat Cat closed down a couple months ago. I'm a little sad, so I'd love to go to Cagney's.
I have not found a buffalo chicken mac and cheese anywhere that resembled them.
Well, they gave you listen, every time I go, I gain 3 to 5 pounds. This thing was unbelievable, but
it's very sad. Yeah.
But
I'm from Hyde Park, so we used to go to the 7-Eleven to get Slurpees as kids, And then we dated all the girls from Fontbonne, and then we'd go to the Villa Rosa, and then we'd go all, and then I used to have a radio station in Marina Bay I worked at. So I've done Quincy, bro.
Yeah, my wife and we moved here 10 years ago. We won't leave it. It's too close to the city, but we don't have to deal with all the city BS, so it's nice. But I'll say this. I used to live in JP for a long time. You ever go to the Gale House, man? Their wings were
open till
fire.
3 a.m. Serves food till 2. Costello's across the street. Charlie Chan's is open till 3 a.m. next door. Yeah, I grew up like 3 miles down the road. But Doyle's was my spot.
Those places got me through poverty, man. Like you can literally go to Galway with $20, get the wings, and then drink the $2 PBRs, and you have yourself your nice little jolly walk home, and you fed yourself and got a little tipsy. It was a good time.
It was. I can't explain to people growing up in the city. It was amazing. And I didn't have to go to downtown Boston. I could just go to Costello's, Galway, or Doyle's.
Yeah, I have a thing about Costello's. They kicked me out and never let me back in.
Well,
so
probably a jerk,
You know what, dude? We're not going to get into it, but yeah, I probably was.
Trust me, I have friends. The Cora pub. I have friends who haven't been there in 10 years that still get kicked out when they go back. We lost Tom, but that's a true story, Skaz. The Cora and Doyle's were like our spots growing up. I have a friend who literally did not step foot in Corab for 10 years. And we're all like, let's go to the Corab. And he's like, dude, I got banned from there 10 years ago. Like, dude, it's 10 years. They're not going to remember you. Walked in at the door. They didn't let him in. Imagine holding a 10-year grudge at a local watering hole.
I got to respect it, Joe. I got to respect it.
Those Irish Catholics from Pittsburgh, I got to tell you, they hold a grudge. The owners of the Corab still will not let my buddy Chris in. I do respect that. Hey, we were going to do the musings, but you know what? Why don't we do it at the top of the hour? I'm Joe Murray on the Sports Hub.
Don't go anywhere. There's more Joe Murray. On the way.
WBZFM and HD Boston 98.5, the Sports Hub.
Beasley Media Group Station.
Essential Sports Hub headline presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
The Indiana Pacers now lead the semifinals over the Cavaliers 2-0, sweeping both games in Cleveland, winning 120-119 tonight on a final second shot from Tyrese Halliburton. Donovan Mitchell had 48 points tonight in the loss. Cleveland now down 2-0 in the series. In the first quarter, T-Wolves, they lead the Warriors 18-6. NHL, we got overtime. Capitals and Hurricanes in Vegas out to a 1-0 lead on Edmonton. Red Sox 6-1. Oh, it's over now. They lost. Yeah, it's over now. Whatever. Headlines, they are brought to you by Awaken 180 Weight Loss. Give yourself a goal of losing 40 pounds by the 4th. It's doable. It's easy. And your summer self will thank you. Awaken180weightloss.com. I'm Joe Murray.
Start your day.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Work through your day.
What's that thing we do at the end of the show?
And end your day.
I'm not giving you an opinion. I don't know.
Right here. 98.5, the Sports Hub.
Looking at me funny like that.
Since when does that affect what goes on in Murray's musings? This is where you got to vent, Joe. Screw the Red Sox and the Cavaliers choking. I want to hear Murray's musings.
My ride-in was horrible. I worked in Boston today. Oh, tomorrow's a big card day. Bowman baseball gets released. I noticed, I think, this is what I think the problem with baseball is, guys, now. We're all looking ahead of what's coming next. We're all looking at Worcester, and hey, look at this guy nicknamed the password, and
Worcester. I will not tolerate Yostinson Garcia slander. I'm a big believer in the password.
I think it's the greatest nickname. I got, who's the other guy? Big Christmas there?
Oh, yeah, Yostinson Noel, I believe, yeah.
But tomorrow, big card day in the industry. So today we were taking orders, and the Red Sox have, D'Angelo Ortiz is one of the big prospects there. Son of David Ortiz. But yeah, so I did that today. And then the traffic took over. And I got frustrated. You know what I don't like? You ever let someone go, but they really are going into like 3 lanes, not 1 lane? So like I tried to let someone go in front of me, but then I let them go. So then in front of me, they put the right line to go or in front of somebody else to then go in front of somebody else. If you're in the far left lane and you need to get off at the right, at this, I don't know if I'm getting old now. I'm starting to drive in the middle lane all the time, guys. I don't go in the far lane. I don't go in the third lane. I'm just middle lane all the guys. Is that where I should be? Or are you in the left lane? Like tonight on the way home, are you left leaning at home the whole way?
Not the whole way, but there are stretches where I'm in the left lane for sure. Once I, get 20 minutes away from here.
Like Route 24, once you get to the split, left lane the whole way?
I'm more of a middle lane. 24 is a wild. It can be tough on 24.
It can be.
I go 495 a lot of the time because it's just easier.
You can fly on 495.
It's less crowded, yeah. So I do that most of the time at night.
Back in the day when I used to go to Pats games, I lived in Boston. I could just literally hop down Route 1 and just cut through. You know what I mean? Get home in 25 minutes. Well, if there was like Patriots traffic, sometimes I would go 495 all the way to 95. It was a lot longer ride, but I didn't have to wait in traffic. That's the way I am. I would rather go the long cut than stop in traffic.
I'm with you on that one. I'd rather just be moving.
Today is an anniversary. 24 years ago, the Pine Barrens episode of The Sopranos was released. Now, we can't play any of that, can we?
Not a lot, Joe, but I thought you'd like a sample, right?
You got something?
You're not going to believe this. He killed 16 Czechoslovakians. Guy was an interior decorator. His house looked like
That's all I can really play for you, and even that obviously is edited. But yes,
lost my shoe.
One of the great episodes of television history. The ketchup packets, Joe. The ketchup packets.
You held out on me. Well, the funniest thing is they're both lost, and he gets a call, and obviously the service isn't great out there. And Tony's like, "Hey, he's an
interior decorator."
I actually don't even want to comment. And then, that's what he picked up. He's an interior decorator. Hey, do you think the guy got shot? Because they never found him.
Well, no, he got shot, but then he gets away, right?
He got away.
Yes.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Do you think he made it out of the woods?
Because they never found remember the car was gone?
Yeah, I think he got out of there.
And you know who saved him, right? Bobby Baklava.
Oh, Bobby Trains.
Dressed up as
the deer hunter.
The deer hunter. Who else was in the car? I'm trying to remember. Tony, Bobby. Oh, this is what started the Paulie and Chris fights.
Yes.
Because did they beat up a landscaper or what happened?
Well, he wasn't giving him enough of his cut, I think is how it started.
Yeah. And then Chris did something stupid. And then Paulie got so pissed when Chris went to go work it out with Tony. Paulie drove all over the lawn while his pregnant wife, was inside the house. I don't mess with Paulie. There's some when someone has nothing to lose, I don't mess with them. Who had more to lose? If I was to own a dog, it'd be a bigger dog. Because Chris got stoned one night, killed the dog. Do you remember the intervention? I don't know if you remember the intervention episode. Paulie. He might be one of the greatest characters of all time, Paulie.
One of the worst guys, too, of all time. Just a horrible, horrible guy.
What he did to his ma?
That's my favorite part about watching The Sopranos, recently, is the internet reveres Paulie and Tony as these, and I get it, they're incredible TV characters, but the way they're revered and talked about, you would think that they were good guys. Two of the worst individuals you could ever come across, doing the worst possible things, and that's why the show is so great, because after all that, you're still kind of rooting for them.
Yeah, they're the anti-hero.
T Swift, Joe.
Yeah. Stone Cold Steve Austin.
But I knew going in, these guys are horrible, but they're even worse than you can imagine, and you still kind of like them.
Who? Do you know who? Well, how do I talk about this? Silvio was my favorite, but not great.
Not great.
Johnny Sack.
He loved his wife.
He loved his wife. Oh, that one made me sad. Because somebody made a joke. You can't make a joke about the boss's wife.
Absolutely not. That's a no-no.
It's a no-no. Who was the best one of them? Joey Pantaleone was awful. What was his name? Ricky April. Was it the April guy? Hated him.
Oof.
Janice out. It was Bob. Well, Bobby's not great either. I mean, were any of them Artie Bucco?
Maybe Meadow. I don't know.
Actually, she wanted to be a lawyer. Junior. Oh, the mom was so did you watch the David Chase thing?
Not yet, no. But
it's supposedly about his mother.
Okay.
So and when they found the woman who played the character, he goes, somebody in the family was like, that reminds me of mom, and that's how she got the role. Junior, horrible person. The thing is, did Junior use his condition for an advantage?
I hope so. That's what I'd be doing.
I meant his health.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, yeah. No, I can't remember. Not a bad way out, Joe.
What do you? Oh, even the FBI were bad. They were doing bad things. The cop who gave Tony the tidbit was doing some dirty work with another cop. Oh, man, what a show. That movie, though, sucked.
Someone in chat says the only morally good character in the show was Dr. Melfi. And
she didn't like her therapist, though.
He kind of stunk.
That guy sucked.
Sucked.
And she, and believe it or not, but was she feeding the monster? That's my whole thing. If you look at everybody, I don't even know if I could say Dr. Melfi was, because she was intrigued by, was she feeding Tony's ego?
The enablers.
Wicked enabler. How about Carmella? That priest though.
Yeah, I was so out on that side storyline there. Ugh. That guy, all-time creep.
Silvio was loyal, but his business practices I don't approve of.
That's big of you, Joe.
I wish Melfi spoke up to Tony about what happened to her. You know why?
I think that's kind of the point of why she didn't, though, is to she
didn't want to feed the beast.
Yes.
I know. Guys, I hope you would ask me if something. I would like you to feed the beast.
I'd feed the beast, Joe.
Please feed the beast. How about AJ?
No.
Dude can't. What did he smoke weed and the car blew up? What happened there?
Yeah. AJ, he had a tough go of it. Should have been a football star.
Tough lady like life.
No thanks, but no thanks.
Like, you know who was loyal like that? Who's the Italian guy there that liked Carmella? I know. Who's the Italian guy?
Me.
Furio. Furio.
Oh, Furio.
Furio loved Carmella, remember?
Oh, yeah.
But you know what happened? He loved her so much. A bee's nest where you really want the honey.
You want some birthdays today, Joe?
Yes, let's do birthdays. Please.
Joe, it's George Clooney's birthday today. Would you like to guess how old George Clooney is?
64.
You nailed it.
No
Born
way.
on this day in 1961. George Clooney is 64 years old.
Complete guess. Former Batman.
Former Batman, ER.
I like the Oceans movies.
Yeah, they're fine.
You know which one I'm out on, though? People might not like this one.
You bet. Oh, boy.
Perfect Storm.
I don't know if I know that one.
It's about the Gloucester fisherman.
And
the guy that was in...
is that the Ashton Kutcher one or no?
No.
Oh, I'm thinking Beautiful Mind or something.
Perfect Storm is a movie about Gloucester fishermen. That they were broke, but they wanted to go. There was a big storm coming, and it was the best time to go fish, and everyone told them not to go. And well, it's a true story. Spoiler alert. Just out.
46% on Rotten Tomatoes. So I don't think
Mark Wahlberg was in it.
Yeah, I'm out then.
Love story.
Out on Wahlberg.
Who else we got today?
It is Martin Brodor's 53rd birthday today.
How about Bob Seger? Wow, night moves.
Night moves.
I've been working on that one. Tom Bergeron, 70.
America's Funniest Home Videos,
Hollywood
right?
Squares.
Squeeze.
Did I really say that?
I might have to pull that one.
Adrian Palicki, 42. Sashir Zamata, 39. She's from, what is she from? My God, what is she from? I can't, now I'm losing my mind.
It's Chris Paul's birthday today.
The basketball player?
Yes, born on this day in 85.
Angel Reese. She's a fantastic athlete. Have you seen her? Angel Reese? She's one of the best going in the league.
Good rebounder.
Fantastic dribbler. Meek Mill, 38. That's Kraft's buddy, right? Who's... Oh. These people, I don't know who they are. They're all Instagram stars.
We're talking a little soccer earlier, Joe. It is Cole Palmer's 23rd birthday today. England international, Chelsea player. Very, very good.
How about Jose Altuve?
35. Joe, I should also mention, it is my older brother Brad's.
Brad Scaramazino?
Brad Scaramazino. It is his 35th birthday
Do
today.
they call him B-Scaz?
He was Scary, was what he was called, with 2 R's. Scarry.
I don't understand.
That's just he was the older brother. He
was
scary.
scary,
That's
and
what
you
they called
were
him.
Scazzy?
Scaz, yeah. That's how it goes, I guess.
Scary Scaz?
Yeah, sure. Put them together, why not? Yeah, older brother Brad's 35th birthday today.
Wow.
Shout him out.
I did not know you had an older brother named Brad.
You knew I had an older brother. I just don't think you knew his name was Brad.
His name was Brad. Is it Bradley or Brad?
Bradley, yes.
Bradley
Well, we call him Brad, yeah. Brad Scaramazino, yep. 35.
Is Jose Altuve a Hall of Famer?
Yes.
I did this today, but if you had to give me 5 current Hall of Famers in Major League Baseball, who are they?
Mike Trout, Mookie Betts, Shohei Ohtani, Max Scherzer, Clayton Kershaw. Verlander, there you go.
All right, never mind. You did good. Should have said 10, but we won't have to. Anything else?
No, I think I'm good, Joe. I'm amused. I feel good.
That was supposed to be Pauly. We'll go to break here on the Sports Zone.
You're listening to Joe. You're listening to Joe Murray on 98.5. You're listening to Joe Murray on 98.
Here's the take. Guys, I think you a little bit more. I'm coming around on it. I don't think the Red Sox need a good manager. They're just going to follow whatever the analytics say. They're going to do driveline. And in situational moments, they're just going to look at the stats. You don't need a guy that's won a championship to do that with this team. I think he's cost them games. I think the Giolito game cost him. I think Tanner Houck cost him. I think pitching to Vlad Guerrero cost him. I think leading Hunter Dobbins out there the other night cost him. I think letting Connor Wong, who just got off the IL, hit late in the game instead of bunting and then hits into a double play and you lose 4-3 is on hit. Like, I just don't. What managerial moves is he making? And I'm not sitting here saying fire the guy. I just don't think you're going anywhere with him. Where's the team improving? Where is the progression? Where are they working with young players in the field? Where is the progression? I might have said this to you already, but I think the Red Sox biggest problem is they have zero identity, and we're always looking down in Worcester. We keep talking about what's next. Wait till this guy comes up. For example, Skaz, a lot of the free agents that they've brought in or players that they've brought in are doing very well. Do you know who's not doing very well? The guys with guaranteed albatross contracts. I'll tell you who's doing well. Jarren Duran, I don't know if he is progressing, but I don't think he's the problem. Devers had a hit tonight, but he struck out twice. Bregman, consistent newcomer, good. Campbell, batting 280, good. Abreu, I think, is taking the next step. I could probably point to him. Narvaez, whatever his name is, came in. He's been okay. Rafael, or at least they played him in one position. But is he progressing? And then the guys that are here still, right? How's Trevor Story doing? What was that number that you had for him?
Yes, this from a friend of the Sports Hub, Chris Cotillo. Trevor Story is 6 for his last 50. That would be a batting average of 120 with 19 strikeouts in his last 12 games.
Why is he playing?
Because he gets paid a lot of money.
That's it. That's the only reason why. It's the only reason why.
So what do you do with him?
I would consider moving him to first base. My first option was Vaughn Grissom.
He's not tall enough.
He's 6'2".
He doesn't look tall enough.
I know. But, I mean, I think he can field. I'd bring Marcelo Mayer up, is what I would do. I'd put him at first. Or I'd bring up Vaughn Grissom, or I'd sign Anthony Rizzo. Toro had a hit tonight.
Woo!
Mm-hmm. Here's the other thing. You know who pitched for the Texas Rangers tonight?
I do.
Nathan Eovaldi.
Old friend.
Nasty Nate. For those who watched Half Baked. Nasty Nate. You know something about Nasty Nate? He throws fastballs, right?
He does.
7 strikeouts tonight. Who can't hit fastballs?
The Boston Red Sox.
Everybody. They're 18-9. They're under 500, guys. They're under 500. I keep talking about the threshold of 40 games. They're not going to make it. 22.5. 23 is the number. 22.5. They're not going to make it. As of right now, based off that number, historically, they don't make the playoffs. And that's with wild cards and everything. So if I was like, hey, what do they do? I think they need to change an approach because the manager's not doing enough. Just one more thing. This Rafael Devers thing. Why doesn't Alex Cora want to ask him to play first? He was asked today, are you going to talk to Devers about playing first? No. I almost wonder, where is winning in this organization? Where does winning rank amongst everybody?
It's behind analytics, I'll tell you that. And to me, Joe, Alex Cora is useless. And that sounds like hyperbole. That sounds like I'm, exaggerating. If he's not talking to Rafael Devers about playing first base, what is he doing? If he's not benching Trevor Story during a 6-for-50 stretch with 19 strikeouts in 12 games, what is he doing? What is the point of Alex Cora? And look, I haven't been an Alex Cora guy ever. Was never an Alex Cora guy. Didn't want him to be brought back in the first place. I think he's wildly overrated. His best skill as a manager is to cheat. That's when he excels the most. He's a middle infielder whose teams suck defensively, especially in the middle infield. I don't understand the hype around Alex Cora. This is the same Alex Cora who... How did that whole Rafael Devers not going to play third base thing go? Did they have the proper conversations when that whole thing took place? Was Rafael Devers ready for that conversation or, mentally prepared for that situation? I'd say no, not at all. I would say they absolutely bungled that, and that falls on the manager of the baseball team. The Alex Cora thing, I think he's as overrated gets for a baseball manager. The team is what it is. The talent on the roster is what it is. He leaves guys in way too long. He's been doing it for years. They suck defensively every single year. Somebody please tell me, what does Alex Cora do well?
So, I'm going to cross sports again. I think people are upset with Joe Mazzulla sticking to the process, right? He could have adjusted. He didn't. I think overall, Joe Mazzulla is good for the Celtics. He has to keep a mentality for a group that is highly paid, very successful, has high accolades. Like, Joe Mazzulla is an odd cat, but he's the right guy for that team right now. But he does stick to a process. Alex Cora just sticks to the process. What else does he do? We talked about this the other night. They're worst in the infield. They can't hit fastballs. They don't do anything after the fourth inning. You're right. What does Alex Cora do? Besides talk to the media, what does he do?
He doesn't even change the lineup half the time. They roll the same lineup. I mean, and I know Cassis got hurt, but it just feels like, the definition of insanity. You're doing the same thing over and over again and hoping for different results. At some point, the manager needs to do something. Get tossed from a game. Yeah. Do something.
I'm not saying fire the guy. I just don't think they're going anywhere.
I'd be fine if they fired him.
No, I know what you mean by that. I'm just saying that, like, these guys, they could, if they're just going to run analytics, you might as well be the manager.
Yeah, and I get Red Sox fans and baseball fans will tell you, it's early. It's May 6th. It's been early at the last, 5 seasons in a row. They've struggled out of the gate. They lose to horrible teams, so we have to wait for them to play one good month of baseball in July, so they're kind of in the race and then fall on their face again at the end of the season. I like baseball. I want to watch the Boston Red Sox be a professional, good baseball team, and they refuse to do that. They give you nothing.
I'll tell you, like, if you look at the standings, they're 2 games out of a playoff, right?
Which is insane.
Yeah, you're right. The person is going to tell you you're crazy, guys, because look at the... No, I don't take them as a threat whatsoever. But to me, I don't think they're even a playoff team. Now, if they make the playoffs, told you, Joe...
I'd be thrilled.
I just don't think they're competing for a world. I thought this year in this offseason, they made moves to compete in October. Do they look like a team that can compete in October? No.
They can't compete in April.
It's May now. It's Casrid Bay.
They couldn't compete in April. They can't compete in May.
And then we'll do June.
Probably won't compete then either.
And then July. But the weather will be better.
They'll have one good month, Joe. That's what they do every year.
The weather will be... You can't blame the weather in the summer, right?
No.
Or is it going to be too hot? By the way, we got some developing news in the NBA game right now.
Is this score right, Joe, that I'm looking at?
It is. Real quick, Joe's been hanging. I'm sorry, Joe and Peabody. How you doing, bud?
Hi. Joe, still the best show on the radio.
Tell our bosses.
I want to remember Bob Neumeyer at this time of the year, especially with the Kentucky Derby involved. We all have our favorite Neumeyer moments. Well, one time he was being interviewed at the Kentucky Derby, and a man said to him, "Oh, are you familiar with Bo Derek is in the crowd today?" And the commentator said, "Any chance of you two hooking up?" And of course, Numi, with his wit, thinks about it and says, Bo Derek, that's what we call in the racing world a long shot.
Love him.
And like I mentioned, everybody has their favorite Numi moments. That happens to be mine. I just wanted to share it since it's the Kentucky Derby time of year.
Now. Yeah, Preakness now.
And Preakness coming. But everything else I have is poop story, so I'll hold that for another
No, you know
night.
what? No. Give me a poop story.
Oh, poop story. Okay, so I had some contractors come in the house, and they were fixing the bathroom. And I'm there, wait a minute, I got to get to work. And I go, sorry, we got to get this work done. So I had no chance to do anything else, so I ran into the kitchen. I took a Hefty bag, and I took a dump inside the Hefty bag.
Did you step? Okay, I have a question.
Oh, I'm not done yet.
Hang on, just real quick. You grabbed a Hefty bag, like a contractor bag, like one of the green ones.
Like a contractor bag.
Okay.
I put it in a pail that I had in the kitchen.
Oh, okay. I was gonna ask. See, I would have put my feet inside the contractor bag and then pooped in it.
Maybe next time I'll try that.
But you put a bag over like a barrel.
Yes, I put a bag over a bucket.
And then you sat on it.
And then I sat on it.
And
took half a roll of toilet paper along with it.
Okay.
So I rolled it up, and here I am with a suit on. It's not like I had jeans on. I had a suit on. So I go out the door with a suit, and I go, what am I going to do now? I got the poop in my hand, and we're driving down the street, and I see these ladies with their dogs, and they're waiting in line to go to the receptacle to drop off their poop into a public container. So I get out of the car, and I'm waiting in line with three women to put poop into the container. Little did they know I was putting my own poop into the container.
That sounds to me like three girls. I'm not going to do it. Don't say it, Joe. Guys, let's go to break. I'm going to say it.
Sports Hub headlines presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Worcester, Massachusetts. Got some hills. The Worcester Hills. Back here at 98.5 Sports Hub. Show kind of went off the rails there, huh? Last hour? What else would you expect? All right, so real world stuff at halftime. Well, not real world, but real basketball world stuff. Warriors lead the Wolves 44-31. Steph Curry out. Hamstring. Should also add that Naz Reid has just left the game with a hamstring as well. No word yet on him. I bet him to have 12 points tonight, guys. He has 6. He's on pace. The Warriors are up 13 points at halftime without Steph Curry. Draymond's leading the way with 16 points. Jimmy Butler has 6. They're going to have to really lean on him and Podsy. May I just bring up someone who's struggling, Skaz, and I wonder if the media has brought it up. Have you seen Anthony Edwards' stat line?
The guy who was, 0 of 11 from 3 in their closeout game?
Yeah. Have you seen his first half?
I have not.
How many points do you think he has?
6.
He has 1.
I'm sorry?
Anthony Edwards has 1 point in 20 minutes in the first half.
I'm sorry. The face of the league, Mr. Clutch, Mr. Aura, the guy that has everything you could possibly want for in your, superstar.
The guy that Steve Kerr said, we don't want to draft you?
Well, that too. Thought that would be some fuel for the fire in this series. You're saying 1 point.
That's 1. 1. Oh, 1. 1 point, guys. You think we'll hear about this one? You think tomorrow they're going to be like Anthony Edwards, 1 point in first half?
I have a feeling we're not going to hear too much about it around here, Joe.
What's the line tomorrow night?
I think it was 8.5. I could be wrong.
I think Celtics roll tomorrow. You know who's going to have a good night? Horford. Don't know why. I'm manifesting it. Because you can't rely on Porzingis. It's not that I'm out on Porzingis. But this is the time of year, Skaz, where you got to rely on your guys. I don't think you can rely on him right now. All right. Well, it was a good show, everybody. Skaz, excellent job. It was just